So we are going to look at logging into the new creative application and submitting an order. So in this case, my username is already filled in. It's just my new youngsmarket.com email address, and it has saved my password. But if this is your very first time logging into this app, you're actually going to want to go to Forgot Password, enter your username, which is your email, and hit Reset Password. You will then be prompted via a system email to set up your password. So if you've already done this, we're just logging in with your username and password that you've set up. And if you really did forget it, just go ahead and go through the forgot password process. All right, so we're going to log in. Okay, let's go to project request. Make sure we're here. Here I'm going to see and make sure that I am in the Washington version, because we do share this with the whole network. And we're going to go down into my projects. So here I can see all of my open projects right now. I can see that some are still in the review process, one is shipped out, one is concept pending, meaning the designer has it and is working on the concept. So right now I actually want to submit a new project. So what I'm going to do first is enter the account that this is going to. So I'm just going to make up a Young's Market generic one. So I'm just going to select Express Washington. And then once I've found my account in there, I'm going to hit New Project. So what's kind of nice about this system is that all of the accounts are tied to the projects, and the projects are tied to the accounts, meaning the projects are not based around who has entered the order. So for instance, if there's a reroute or you want to look at what has been done for this account in the past, you're going to see all of those projects linked to that account, and it's not dependent on who submitted the order. So here I can see that there is some saved information under this Young's Market Express because we've used this before in the new system. So my name is listed in the contact. I can list my phone or email, but essentially this information here, the contact, is going to be who is picking up the order or who is it being shipped to. So that's the contact information you want to list there. Otherwise, we're going to give this a project name, so we're going to call it test. And here we can see that it's put a project due date of 1 month out. That's just the standard that is entered in there, but you're welcome to change that. So you just select from the calendar that pops up. I can say, okay, I need this a week out. But my one caveat here is that if I'm going to say, okay, I need this by Friday, and I select that, unfortunately the app does not tell us that this is essentially a rush order and doesn't give us any heads up. So I would still appreciate that all the sales team that do put in a project that needs to be rushed, so let's call it within 3 days, that you please contact someone in the Creative Services Department, specifically probably Brittany, Marley, or myself, and let us know. And then we at least have a heads up and can let you know if that's possible or not. So otherwise, we're just going to give it a little description. Say, I'm going to put in some happy hour table tents. All right. So I've got a little bit about the project here. Now this is where I can start entering the actual request information. So I'm going to hit this big new request button. All right, and then we're prompted to enter all of the information we want in here. So here's where I might put happy hour. And we're going to select project types. So I could choose a chalkboard, design, meaning all new design orders, POS, meaning things like shelf talkers, snipes, back cards. These are going to be very specific to the off-premise teams. Print ready is going to be things like sell sheets or It could even be a menu that you have from an account and they want 0 changes, no making edits, no doing anything to it, just print this for me. So that's what you're going to use for print ready. Stock supplies is going to be things like those A-frame leatherettes. That's pretty much the only thing we have in there at this point that we can give you. And then templates we'll go through in another video. But right now I want a new design. So from here, I can choose whether I want that to be a large format or a small format. And the difference here being if we need to outsource it or not. So small format is going to be all your table tents, invites, letter sized, menus, 11 by 17s and 12 by 18 size posters. Everything else that's bigger, or if it's like an adhesive material, those are all going to be considered large formats because we need to outsource those. So this one's going to be small format. And then I get to see either I can choose a custom size or we've listed all of the most common, mostly on-premise types of designs that are requested. So I want a 4x6 table tent. And then I can see over here, I'm getting a little preview of the size. Okay, here's where some people can get a little confused because there isn't words listed until you hover over it. But essentially, once I do hover over it, I can see that this number, £, is asking for the quantity. So like how many table tents do I want printed? So I want 35. And the number of pages, I want 2 because I want a front and a back. So I'm going to increase that to 2. And yes, I do need this printed. It's not a design only. And once I've selected the number of pages to be 2, I can see up in the top that I've got a number 2 now. So in the different content sections, I can toggle between the 2 so that it's super clear which information goes on page 1 and page 2. All right, so once I've completed everything on this page, all I'm going to do is start working my way down this left-hand column. So next, I get to choose some options. So I can choose whether or not this is going into a leatherette that might have corner tabs in it, and I want the designer to be aware of that space and not to put any important information in those corners. That's what corner tabs means. Do I want these laminated? Is this something that needs to be stapled? If not, I can just leave it blank. Paper, I can choose cardstock, polyester, or text weight. I'm going to choose cardstock for these. And now it's asking me, do I need this double-sided? Do I want this duplicated onto the back, meaning the same content on both the front and back, or do I just want these single-sided? So I do want this double-sided. I've got 2 pages. And yes to the cardstock. And I'm just going to choose white. Okay, so everything there is filled out. If I had a file, for instance, a Word doc with all of the content already typed out and I don't want to retype it out or copy and paste it, I could upload that here. Or if I have a JPEG or some kind of file containing the logo of the account that I want used, or even if I just want to upload a picture of what the account is currently using and I want that type of look replicated, then you can upload that kind of information here. I don't believe there's a maximum size, and I don't know of a maximum number of uploads. But once you are uploading a file, just give it a minute. There's not any kind of a notification of the time that it's taking to upload, so I would just give it a little bit of time. Content. So say I don't have any images to upload, but I just want to start entering in some of the content for this happy hour. I'm sitting with my account and we're going to start listing happy hour. And you can see off to the right, it's starting to populate that page. So it kind of gives me an indication of how much space this is actually using up, which can be helpful to see how much is actually able to fit on one page. So lines by the glass. featuring whatever you would like. Sutter Home, let's call it $5. And let's go with some cocktails. They're going to be $2 off, featuring Jack Daniels and Stoli vodka. All right, so this is what I want featured on page 1 of my happy hour menu. When I want to do page 2, I just click over to the next tab. So maybe on this side, I want to list out a few different cocktails that they might need, they might want to use. So Jack and Coke, featuring Jack Daniels, Tennessee whiskey, and then maybe Stoli blueberry press. So you get the idea here. And then I could keep adding more and more. It does give you some options to format this, but I wouldn't necessarily count on those being the formatting. Your designer is going to use their best judgment to lay this out the best they can. Okay, so I've got my content on page 1 and page 2 entered. Now I can go down to the notes section. Here is where I might say, please add a bottle shot of Stoli blueberry and Jack. Okay. And maybe I'll give them some notes like, this is a sports bar. That's where you would enter all of that type of information. I'm going to go over here and hit save. Just because technology, we just want to make sure that we're not losing any information. We do get kicked out after about an hour without notification, so I would just make it a habit of hitting save. And chargebacks. Here's where we need to add in every line item of every brand that we are listing in this menu, and this is how we get supplier support for the printing and design of everything. So we've got a Sutter Home mention from page 1. We've got a Jack Daniels mention on page 1, and we have a Stoli mention on page 1. Oh, awesome. Stoli. Okay, so maybe they're not loaded yet. Cool. Well, I will need to get with the Oracle team on that. So hopefully that's fixed by the time you're entering these. But one thing I do want to mention is if you notice that, please let us know, and then we can let the data management team know to update the system, and then we can hit a refresh button, and hopefully that happens within a day or two. So, good example. Okay, so those are going to be what's on page 1. Page 2, I also have some mentions, so I do need to enter those again. So page 2, I have a Jack Daniels mention, and then I would enter the chargeback for the Stoli blueberry in that portion as well. So each time we're listing out every time that brand is mentioned in a drink. All right, so we're going to hit save. Okay, and now we exit and go back to the project details page. I get a little confirmation that this has been saved. That's awesome. I can review this one more time before hitting submit, but it looks good to me so far. Don't worry about this supplier funding piece. This is for the admin team. My team would, if necessary, request funding from suppliers or get approvals on that. So at this point, I'm just needing to submit the project. So I can either do that up here at the top, or you probably saw it down at the bottom. I can hit submit project. Okay, so I get a notification that that project is submitted for assessment. All right, in the next video, I'll take you on to the next steps. Thank you.